In the first reading today, the prophet Jeremiah speaks to us about how God had taken Israel by the hand, just like you would take a little child, and led them out of the land of Egypt. And he formed a covenant with them, a relationship. But God's people broke that relationship, and it was not easy to restore. But Jeremiah says on God's behalf that God would make a new covenant with them, one that would last forever, one that will not have to be taught to them, but will be written in their hearts, because God will forgive them of their evil doing, and I remember their sin no more. The new covenant has within it that understanding that God forgives, and we do not have to begin all over again with the new covenant. That fulfillment of that prophecy we hear in the gospel today. Peter's recognition that Christ is the Son of the living God, and that he would establish a new covenant, a new relationship between God and man. The covenant predicted by Jeremiah would be a covenant made now in his own blood. It is that covenant that we celebrate each day we come to the Eucharist. The new covenant, the new agreement, which is instilled in our hearts because we know that that Christ is truly the Son of God, and that his suffering and death resulted in our redemption. Sometimes we too can be like Peter. Although Peter was appointed in today's gospel to be the head of the apostolic band, he shrinks back when he hears that Jesus must suffer and die, and that he too would have to suffer. We, like Peter, shrink back sometimes from human suffering. We must endure it in order to participate in the new covenant. The new covenant demands our sacrifices united to that of Jesus Christ. Human suffering has an infinite value when it is joined to the suffering of Jesus himself. Today, as the Church celebrates the feast of St. John Vianney, we recognize a man, a saint of the Church, who was able to do both things that we heard about today. First, to work for the forgiveness of sins. He did it 16 hours a day. People from all over France of that day came to him for confession. He read their minds and souls. He gave them absolution, but then he directed them to the Eucharist. And that was the other part of the covenant, the forgiveness of sins and the continual presence of Jesus among us in the Eucharist. John Vianney was a great witness to that in a time when it was certainly not the vogue, nor was it the center of people's attention. Today again, we must reinstate our understanding of the new covenant, that sins can be forgiven, that we can begin all over again, and that the continual presence of Jesus Christ among us, especially in the Eucharist, gives us hope and gives us a focus in our lives, and so that we understand the meaning of human suffering. We join it to that of Jesus Christ, and it becomes something important, becomes something really worthy of humans, but also something that gives glory to God. The new covenant is ours today. Let us be worthy of it by the way we live and by the way we understand Jesus' presence among us.